Oh, God. If you guys are anything like me, you probably suffer from acute bouts of gas now and then. Fortunately, and I can't believe I didn't think of this sooner, there's actually a really simple cure to common photographer's gas, and it's available over the counter at your local store. Just buy yourself some new equipment. I just got myself 2 new lenses.
Man, I thought this was a channel about love of photography.
Yeah, well, I love equipment, and you can't take photos without a lens, so... Jokes aside, folks, if you're a photographer you know is suffering from gas, don't delay, take action, and please direct them to my websites listed below. Buying new gear is effective, don't get me wrong, but a more effective antidote is a good dose of education and hands-on shooting. Preferably via a face-to-face workshop or downloadable course, or joining one of my photography tours. Howdy folks, I hope you saw I just put live my video testing out the 907X and CFV 100C back on my trip to Bhutan. Really enjoyed shooting with it. I think it's a really great video. I hope you guys, if you haven't seen it already, go check it out after this one. I have been shooting with the X system for quite some time and I really love it. My main kit that I've been shooting a lot with is the X2D and the 35-75. A lot of my personal shooting I do on this guy now, and the results are just spectacular. The 35-75 is a lens that is not one of the most popular in the system, but I really enjoy shooting with it. It is, however, big and heavy and noisy. It's from the first generation, but it's so versatile and the image quality is just great. If you're a Hasselblad shooter, you can check out my expert setup guide. I've updated it to cover the new camera, and it takes you through all the different lenses in the range, the X2D. It'll really help you get the most out of your camera. Now, you might think YouTubers who have a connection to camera companies get easy access to everything. Yes and no. Last year I did a video on the 90V lens when it was first announced, and since that time I've had my name down to try and get one, and literally today, about an hour ago, a day after my video on this one went live, it actually arrived along with the 38V, which I've also had on order for that long. It would have actually been really handy to have them both on my recent trip, but they don't let you just jump the queue. So like a lot of you who are still waiting on your lenses, I hope that gives you some heart that we all have to wait. I just wanted to unbox them and tell you why I went for these two. Whilst I love the 35-75, it is quite big on these slimline bodies. With the X2D with its nice grip, it works out fine. On this guy, I think having more compact lenses would be useful. By the way, I don't own this one and it's not mine to keep. But let's open these ones with the ceremonial knife and take a look. Now, I've shot with both of these lenses extensively and absolutely love them. These are mine. These are, mine to keep. And I don't put money down on lenses like this just on a whim unless they really do something for me. So I am glad to have these ones in my kit. Whilst they would have been great in Bhutan, they'll also be great for my upcoming trip to Iceland, as well as shooting the bird migration, which I'll have a long lens kit for. It just has the most epic wild nature and landscapes. Amazing scenery, and when you pair that with the crazy weather that you get there, it just makes for unbeatable shots. So some wide and standard lenses are really handy. Now, if by some chance you are new to all of this, when we talk about crop factors, people often know that an APS-C camera, for example, has a 1.5 crop factor because the sensor is smaller than full frame. Well, these cameras, being bigger than full frame, have kind of a negative crop factor, or a reverse crop factor, so it's 0.79. So the 90mm lens, once you apply that, becomes, instead of a 90 f2.5, it becomes something like a 71mm f1.9, 1.97. And then the 38mm, can I open this? The 38mm becomes something like a 30mm f1.9 something. This is an unboxing video. Literally, my only job is to unbox this. Why am I struggling?
Yeah.
Seriously. I guess I should say, whilst I do work with Hasselblad, this video is not sponsored. These are my own lenses. They don't actually even know that I'm making this video. I just wanted to share it with you guys. Now, why I went for the 90 instead of the 80, this is the 80. The 80 is an f1.9 instead of an f2.5, but it's a lot bigger, a lot heavier. It's noticeably slower than the 90mm, or the 90 is noticeably faster because it's a newer generation. And everyone loves a little plastic removal, right? Oh, I'm not doing well with the unboxing today. How unsatisfying was that? Being a V lens, it gives you the push-pull manual focus override. And I have to say, on my last trip, I did take the 80mm with me. Very, very, very few shots was I shooting it completely wide open. Because with that shallow depth of field on the medium format sensor, if you're, say, shooting a portrait, unless your subject is directly straight onto the camera, which isn't always the most interesting angle, you're going to end up having the second eye out of focus if they're even slightly on an angle. I found that, using at f2.5, even 3.2 and f4, I was getting a plenty shallow enough depth of field on pretty much all of the shots that I was going for. Now, of course, the aperture on your lens, it's more than just how's your depth of field. Obviously, we all know that. It's also the light gathering capabilities, but it's also that companies tend to segment their lines by, you can see it by the aperture. So you've got your range of 1.4 primes and your 1.8 primes, or your 2.8 zooms and your f4 zooms. And it's not just that they have a faster aperture, it's also that they put the best lens elements, the best coatings, in this case the best autofocus motors and stuff, into those higher lines. So these are both V series lenses. They have the same finishing. The 90 is bigger than the 38, but the 38, the 55, and the 90 are all kind of siblings. And as well as being smaller, lighter, I think optically better than the 80mm, it's also noticeably cheaper, so that's a nice thing. So if you wanted something that is that much shorter, 10% or so shorter in terms of focal length, and you want that extra aperture, then don't get me wrong, some of my favorite shots from the trip were using the 80, but when it comes to what I want to actually get in my own kit, and it's a real life decision about getting gear rather than just a hypothetical one, the 90 is a much better option for me. Also, it's a 72mm front filter thread, which again matches up with the other lenses in the system. So if you're a filter user, potentially you can save on that by going to standards, although my zoom lens here is a 77 as well, so it's the older generation like the 80mm. Just let's pop the 38 onto this guy. And then, like I said, I don't actually own this camera, but look at that for a compact kit. 102 megapixel backside illuminated sensor, 16-bit raw files. I think it's 16 stops of dynamic range. I really can't speak today. With a built-in 1 terabyte SSD, a back that if you want to, you can put onto a V series camera or onto a technical camera. It's just crazy the kind of quality you can get in such a compact package. But how I'll be using it is that kind of quality on what I think still is undoubtedly the best industrial design on any camera that I've ever used. And I'm not, only been in the game for 3 years and comparing it only against other digital or other medium format cameras. I've shot with film cameras back to the 30s and 40s, not that I was around then, but I've used those cameras, and still the ergonomics and the overall design of this are just spectacular. Let me know if you have any questions. You're sure to see more of these lenses on the channel. If you want to know more about my kit, let me know. I can make a what's in my bag for 2024 video for you guys. The link to my Hasselblad Expert Setup Guide is below, and stick around, I'll have a little promo for my Iceland tour, which is in May this year, and I would love to have you guys join us, so stick around for that. Hi folks, it's time to get back on the road. I'm pleased to announce my 2024 Photographers Tour to Iceland, running from the 14th to the 26th of May. It's now open for bookings and we're already half filled with people who had pre-registered. You can see full details at the PDF below. Now this tour is specifically designed for the requirements of photographers. It's not your typical on the bus, off the bus, kind of tour by numbers hitting all of the normal tourist traps. We're going to locations that I've handpicked and designed the tour based on the needs of photographers, being at the right place at the right time of day to have the right light to give you the best opportunity to create amazing images. Now, the trip itself is adventurous. We're taking photos of an amazing landscape. We're going to be shooting wildlife and the bird migration, but it's also designed for comfort. We'll be traveling in a spacious vehicle with space for you to be able to have your equipment really nearby you and handy to jump off and shoot as we see things on the side of the road that we want to stop for on top of our planned itinerary. And we'll also be staying in really comfortable 4-star accommodation or the best available in the locations that we visit. Now, I've timed this trip to coincide with the annual bird migration, where hundreds of thousands of birds descend on Iceland, of course, including the famous puffin. Now, the locations we're going to are some of my favorites. They're fantastic and they give you amazing opportunities to shoot these animals. Some are really off the beaten path, some are known. It's a mix of, what works to get the best possible shots. Now, as I said, we've designed it specifically for photographers, so our itinerary is all around getting the best shots, and we'll have plenty of time built in to be able to make additional stops along the way. The amazing weather patterns combined with the dramatic landscape means that there's just photo opportunities all the time in Iceland. Now, the guide that I use in Iceland is just fantastic. He's one of the most experienced tour guides in Iceland, and I think of all the guides that I've worked with around the world over the past decade or more, he understands the needs of photographers better than anyone else that I've worked with. And that's because he's a filmmaker, a producer, and a location scout, and has worked on countless different movies and TV programs that have been filmed in Iceland. And he just gets that we need to be at a certain place at a certain time of day for the light and to suit what's going to be, our main subject. If it's a natural phenomenon like a mountain, it matters where the light is at that time of day. If it's to shoot birds, then we need to make sure if they're at the nest early morning that we're in that area, or if they're out fishing at that time of day that we're at that location, so that we don't arrive and find that our subject isn't there. So check it out, folks. Full details are in the PDF below. As I said, it's currently open for bookings. We've already hit about 50% of the group capacity, and I have an early bird booking discount up until the end of January. I do that because I want to be getting to the group minimum as soon as possible so that I can greenlight the trip, and then people can start making their travel plans and get the best possible deals on their flights and everything nice and early. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment here, or better yet, my contact details are in the PDF, so you can contact me one-on-one with any questions that you might have. Iceland is truly a photographer's paradise. There's a great reason why it's on so many people's bucket list. So join me. I've been there so many times now and run loads of different tours. I'll be there with you to guide and help with the group to make sure that you get the best possible images and have a really enjoyable trip with all of those little details of where to stay and how to get there and the best access all sorted out for you, so you can just come, bring your equipment, your sense of adventure, and have both an exciting but also a relaxing trip. I hope I'll see some of you there.